Thank you very much. I'm as prepared as I'm always, well, as unprepared as well. That said, thank you very much for inviting me. And I think when I look at the education landscape, I'll just go back about a week ago when a very senior member of our current government asked me, how do we raise $50 billion annual for RTE? That's one huge challenge. $50 billion and they do not have it. They want to raise it. That's, I think, a huge opportunity for all of us. 2 years before that, I said to our government that let's begin thinking how do we look in 2020 in terms of the kind of quality of education we have, quality of people we have, how do we upgrade the quality of taking from literacy to education is a very long walk. Government has consistently talked about literacy. Literacy is about someone can write a book. Say the name of the book is Your Guide to Happiness. The person who can say YOURGUIDE is literate. But the person who is writing the book is the one who's going to make a difference. So from literacy to education to learning, there are many stages of life. And should we focus on literacy today? But even if you focus on literacy, our expense today is about $50 billion annual. That is the opportunity spectrum you're looking at. How is government to go about that? It will be unveiled as we go along. But let me share with you about one laptop per child, how it began. We began thinking of, in 2020, India may need every child to be educated in the medium of the day. Medium of the day today is not paper, it's not blackboard, it's not anything except the screen. I went to a school called Katha in Delhi, and I asked slum children, what is the medium of the day we work on? They all said, computer. How do you know? Have you used one? Yes. Where do you use them? In our school. But how do you know how people work in the offices? We see it on the TV. So people know, because of the TV, that people work on computers. All the work in offices is done on the computers. So how should you study? And every child from age 6 to 10 said, if you work on computers, we must study on computers. It's as simple as that. But why is it that we are unable to take the simple message to our political leadership? That said, every time someone doesn't act, there is a white space. And that white space is a space of opportunity. In fact, much of the investment which has come from the private sector in education space is mostly because, or primarily because of the fact that someone did not act. When someone doesn't act in the government, it's a room for entrepreneurs. That's an opportunity to create a world. Because if government acted, then we don't have much room. They have vacated the space for us to act on. Okay, so what do we do about educating India? 2001, I started something called Baramati Conference for Technology and Development, where we brought people from space, social space, technology, who thought of future. Let's come together. The question was very simple. We had 6 million cell phones being sold annually in 2001. 500,000 a month approximately averaged. We had 2 million, as far as I recall, the population of all desktops and laptops, what you call PCs. So 2 million PCs across the nation. This includes primarily corporate sector, very few personal ones. Only the privileged had that. And 6 million phones being sold every year. What's wrong with the picture? How do we understand that? Then we went back to 1995. In fact, just the other day, I was speaking to the leader of the opposition, and she said, remember I was telecom minister? I said, yes, I do. Remember what you said then? I said, what did I say? I've forgotten. She said, you were the one who came with a number which looks so different from all other consulting firms. Your numbers were about 20 to 100 times different from them. And somehow you turned out to be okay with that. I said, I didn't even know what I was saying. Point is, even if you don't know what you're saying and you're imagining on the higher side, you're likely to be more right than otherwise. The wisdom of the McKinseys, who are wise, no questions at all, was not going to help us create mobile revolution. Because the models came from another world. We had to think of our society, our world, how do we change it? But we had no framework. My point was there's so much hunger. Just the aspirational levels of this nation was so, dramatically underplayed. that if you just took a peek on that, your numbers will be 10 times higher. So my sense was, 12 months you'll hit 1 million. By 2000 you will hit 10 million, and you go in that direction. Anyway, things happened. We didn't create them, we didn't make them happen. They happened for a variety of reasons. And it's not the government that did this. It's all of us outside the government made it happen. Government somehow was supportive, wasn't opposing as much. Why does government oppose? It's a good thing government opposes, by the way. I would never say government shouldn't oppose, because when you try to create a consensus, well, it won't be always in somebody's favor, and I think we all have to prune our aspirations, etc. But as long as it supports aspirations to develop a nation and we can create value in future, it's a great thing to have. So we said, okay, how do we create educational aspirations now? Even if you had done everything possible in 2100, India will not be literate enough if we went about the same way as we went from 47 to 2002. So how do we change it? Cell phone. Let's create the cell phone of education. So how do you do that? What are the challenges? Challenges are, currently our educational needs are such that if you don't invest at least 50,000 rupees, just like in the telephone in primary education, we don't get anywhere. Until then, we have a bamboo scaffolding foundation. And we are trying to create the castle of higher education. How much will it support? 5 IITs, 5 IIMs, that's it. Otherwise, bamboo scaffolding was too weak to support anything more than that. So let's look at this way. Okay, fine, let's go to the villages. What is missing? Even if you poured $10 billion in 2001 and dumped computers all over, could you actually educate? No way. Government, if it did that, they put 1,000 schools, 13 lakh rupees each school, antenna, screen, computers. I went to 5 of them. Not one was opened. I got one opened. I said, Mr. Principal, do it. I'm here. I want it the next half an hour. No questions asked. And you did that. I had no authority at all, by the way. I went as a private citizen. I had no authority. And they opened it. Students came. They were so excited. I left it behind. A week later, I sent somebody go and check. So backed again. That's what the government did. 1,000 schools, 13 lakh rupees each, and that's what we did. What was missing? If you dumped entire GDP of India in primary education, you couldn't have made them study any better. What's missing? Okay, no electricity. Negroponte said, let's make a computer with zero power. Well, is it possible? We'll come to that later. Okay. Second, no internet. Let's make a computer where 2 computers and 3 and 10 and 100, they all can talk to each other without internet. Is it possible? We'll come to that later. What else is missing? Buildings. Buildings are, what kind of buildings do they have? They have no buildings worth talking about. They have no light. So how do they study inside? We don't know. They take some sunlight. They make do, as we all do. So what does it mean? So if you get a computer inside, there will be no light when there is no light. No. That means you have to have a computer with a battery. Okay, fine. A battery, that means it's not a desktop. Yes, it's not desktop then. What's a laptop? Laptop, children will take it out. How will they read outside when there is a screen which cannot be read under the sun? Fine, let's make a screen which can be read under the sun. Is it possible? We'll get to that. If children have it, roam around, they'll drop it. It can break, so let's make it shockproof. Children roam around, water can come, rains can come, let's make it waterproof. Villages have dust, let's make it dustproof. Software is expensive, let's make it open source. Maintenance is a problem. So why do you maintain anything? Once there's a moving part, there's a maintenance issue. So, okay, maintenance is a problem. How do you do that? Let's make it maintenance free. So, no moving parts. Okay? I mean, all these things are, each question that we answered, or he answered, or we thought about, was mind-boggling. Everything was stretching the boundaries. Everything was outside our imagination. Every single answer was outside the imagination. Then what we do? Well, people like Microsoft. What happens then? We'll make a dual boot. Okay, fine. And then, okay, how about the price? What's the price of a computer, desktop? 50,000. Let's drop a zero, 5,000. Well, how will children learn? You got everything right, but how will the children learn? Teacher doesn't know it. There's no school to teach them. How will they learn? Very simple. Have you heard of Nintendo? Does it come with a manual? Can a 2-year-old child read a manual? Can you teach a child how to use Nintendo? I don't think any of us sitting in this room can teach any child how to use a Nintendo, because we don't know ourselves. and it doesn't come with a manual. How does a child learn? That's the beauty of being a child. Children can figure out things which we can't figure out. Nearly everyone who is on the other wrong side of 40 knows if they have a child, the child is the CIO of the family. Every home. And it is regardless of whether you're in the White House or you're in the slum. You're in my house or your house, doesn't make a difference. Every home has a CIO called a 14-year-old son or daughter. So, in other words, children can learn regardless of what teachers and parents can tell them. They can learn things we can't imagine. They can learn things we can't teach them. So what does it mean? We will make a computer which will be as intuitive as Nintendo. So there was no teacher, no training, they'll start with it, and they will become sooner than later better than their teachers, but nobody will be better than anyone else except as much as they want to become. It's not about being better, it's about becoming good at learning. So you create a window to the world. Huge thing. And then we went to everyone, okay, so this is something which market cannot take because market didn't like it. So what did we do? We went to everyone who had an idea, a vision, who could see 15, 20 years ahead, and people like Brin, Google, Rupert Murdoch, of all people, because he liked Negroponte, even Craig Barrett, because he came to Baramati. They all put in $5, $6, $7, $8, $10 million each, no questions asked. Go ahead, do it. About 18 corporations, $5 million initial, $2 million every year. We spent $200 million about. 70 scientists of MIT, 3,000 engineers, 40 months. That led to a machine which is the mother of what you call netbooks. Netbooks are the child of this one laptop per child. That led to the development of what you call Kindle. Kindle is the screen of one laptop per child. It led to a dozen initiatives which were very interesting. But what can $200 million do? Create a $50 billion annual industry. But now coming to India, my goal is to have 100,000 social entrepreneurs who actually need, in that context, an investment of, if you look at the local level, a franchise level, not more than 10 lakhs each to get started. And if you aggregate them at various levels, keep adding a zero and keep going up, it becomes a very large number. Annual budget, 50,000 crores to get every child, every year, learn the way the best in the country or anywhere in the world learn. But that India, where it begins with that, yesterday I was with a chairman of a large organization. He said, I want to do it. How do I do it? I have only 1 minute to go. So I said, think of it like this. Okay, I am a manager in a company. I earn fixed income of X. And I need to do something which is buying something which is worth 2X. What will I do? I'll agonize and perhaps I'll not make a decision. Now I'm an entrepreneur. I only have X rupees of savings. My project costs 20X. Will I stop? He said, no. I said, there's your answer. Effectively, that's what the answer is. If education is where our future lies, if education is which will create value for the country, if by investing today 10 rupees a day in one laptop per child, my income in 2022, instead of being 6,000 forecast today, becomes 10,000, can I not afford it? Therein lies the value. You bring the value creation in the life of a human being, or a citizen of India for that matter, who must be as good as the best there is on this earth. Number one, there's social responsibility. I'm not even talking about that. Let's talk about what money can do. I can forecast for each of us a 20% return, minimum, to any investor in the field of education. Actually, closer you come to grade 1, better the return. 20% is the minimum average return you can have, no matter which way you go. Since time is not there, and I'll leave it to question and answer session, well, thank you very much. Appreciate it.